Alrighty, everybody. Today, I'm gonna be, oh snap, look at all those goats over there. But today, I'm gonna be answering the $1,000,000 question. Is this like a good beginner bike? Is the R7 good for beginners that, got like no experience? Kind of like me, I just jumped straight to it. And we gonna get the answer today, or at least my answer, in my opinion. So let's get going on this thing. So the very first thing you're gonna have to consider is the ergonomics of this bike. So don't mind that. These are my notes because I know I wasn't gonna remember everything. So me, I'm not a tall individual. I'm like 5'8", 30-inch inseam, and I cannot flat foot this with both feet. I'm like on the balls of my feet, kind of like this, kind of like that. So I usually just put one foot down. So that's one thing you got to consider. If you're a shorter person with short legs, kind of like me, you can have some trouble flat footing it, because to me that is the biggest thing to boost your confidence, if you can put both feet down. And I know if you can't, then it might be a little like nerve-wracking to know that you can't put both feet down and feel like secure and planted. Alright, so now the second thing has to be your seating position, like when you're on the bike. So when you're on this bike, you're definitely hunched over a little bit, like you're gonna be leaning forward, and it's not super committed compared to like an R6 or an R1. I know they're more aggressive, but still you will be like in that like race position, like you're ready. So your back will start hurting if you're on this thing for a couple hours out of the day. Your back's gonna start killing you. So that's one thing you got to consider, is it's not comfortable for long rides. Like, it really isn't. It's not at all. Alrighty, so we're gonna turn this puppy on and get moving. So another thing you gotta be wary about is the low end torque on this thing, because it's got a lot of torque down low. Here, let me, even in like third gear, like this thing moves. Yep, this thing wants to go. It moves, man. So first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, in the lower RPMs, this thing is a beast. Like, it just wants to just move whenever you give it throttle. Yeah, it's a fun little bike though. If you want the R7 as your first bike, you kind of got to go in there knowing what you're getting into. Like, you got to know, okay, this bike is not slow. Sure, in the motorcycle world, it's not the fastest, but it sure as shit is not slow either. And this torque will rip you off this bike if you are not ready for it. I had a moment where, it was maybe like my second or third week of me having this bike, and I was just chilling in the neighborhood and like second gear like this, one hand on, one hand off, and then I kind of leaned back to stretch, and as I did that, the bike, I gave it some throttle and it almost bucked me off, and I wasn't ready. I was not ready, and it humbled me real quick, because if you go in there thinking like, oh yeah, this ain't nothing, this is light work, you're gonna get a reality check really quick that this bike does not care about you, bro. If you do not know how to drive this thing, you will get ripped off this. One more thing you got to think about is, if you're getting this bike just to go fast in a straight line, you're about to be very disappointed. Sure, it can go fast. The top speed on this is like 140, which, for your first bike, man, that's pretty quick. That's pretty quick to me. But I'll tell you right now, you are not keeping up with those fools on 600s and 1000s at all, bro. You are gonna get dusted. You're gonna get smoked by these fools. When you're going fast on this bike, what I've noticed is the handlebars want to kind of go left to right, like give you those little speed wobbles, and it can be a little scary when you're going quick, man. So that's another thing you got to be wary of on this bike. If you're going quick, you better be ready for those handlebars to start wobbling a little bit. It is a little unstable, I won't lie to you. Oh baby, you hear that? So a lot of people say to start on a lower cc bike, like a 3, 4, or a 500, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, if you feel more confident on a lower cc bike, and that's really all that matters, because if you feel confident on the bike, you're gonna drive better, and you're just gonna pay attention more. You're gonna be a smarter driver. It's gonna teach you more. So if this is too much for you, there's nothing wrong with starting on a slower bike. But I personally got onto this bike knowing that I was gonna get tired of like a 500 or like a 400. I knew I was gonna get a little, you know, tired of it and want more power. So that's why I set my eyes on this puppy, and I got it. So it's been nothing but fun times on this thing. I've had no issues with it. Where the R7 really excels has to be in the twisties. When you're taking crazy left and right turns like a snake, this bike feels so secure and planted to the ground. You feel like you're in MotoGP just taking a turn inside your neighborhood. So that is the biggest thing I love about this bike, is how stable it feels in turns. You're gonna get mad compliments on this bike. Like, this bike is gorgeous. It's a beautiful machine. So you're gonna get mad compliments, and I know that has nothing to do with how it works, but I'm just kind of putting that out there. Another thing I forgot to mention is, in first gear on this bike, if you give it like throttle like that, like you just rip the throttle, in first gear you're popping a wheelie, homie. So it really does have a lot of power down low, and I can't stress that enough. That you need to come in with an open mind and be ready to learn, and you know, be ready to make mistakes and learn from the mistakes. You know, it's all a learning process. So, you know, I've had my fair share of, you know, not paying attention or stalling out the bike, or, you know, doing stupid things I shouldn't be doing on it when I first got it. So it all comes with time and patience. But if you want this as your first bike, you can easily get this, and you'll love it. You'll love it. If you want a sport bike for a track, this is perfect, man. If you want to go to track days, this bike is phenomenal for that. See, like, I mean, you gotta have some fun while you want it too. I mean, you gotta have some fun. Take a course, get your license, get your insurance, get your gear, get all that stuff, then go out and get the bike. That'd be the best way to do it. I didn't do it like that. I know I'm a little hypocrite. I went and just bought it. I just straight up went to the dealership, put a down payment, and now I have it, and I drove it for a couple weeks, and then I got my license. So I technically did it the wrong way, I know, but I'd advise you guys to do it the correct way. Don't be like me. Go get your license, guys. Go get your license and your insurance. At the end of the day, I think if you come in here knowing what you're getting into, you can have this bike with no issues at all. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to get a bike that's a little slower, there's nothing wrong with that, man. Go at your own pace, be safe, ride your own ride. This isn't a talent show. You're not trying to impress nobody. You're just having fun on a bike. So I do recommend this, but like I said for the 1,000th time, just remember what you're getting into, and just know the type of power that is underneath you right here. All this power. And yeah, and one more thing, this is what I do. Since I'm a short guy, I usually put one foot down, keep the other one up, because I cannot flat foot this thing. But that's a nice little Corvette. Alrighty, y'all, that is the end of the video. If you learned something, that's fantastic. If not, well, I'll just get my shit straight, get my facts together. But that's it, y'all. I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace, baby.